my heart.
It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone.
Welcome to Making a Difference Wednesday here in the Fishbowl. You are listening to John and Sam on the Mad Radio Show, broadcasting you live from Globe Life Park, the heart of Arlington, Texas's entertainment district. Man, welcome, Sam. How you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's just, it's May 20th. We are still about 8 weeks into this lockdown, and the more I read on the mental health issues of our first responders, the more I get so aggravated that there's no help being done for these guys that are fighting the good fight, that are on the front lines, and I'm real worried about what's going to happen once this pandemic is over. We've both talked to a lot of people over the last few weeks, and it seems like the same old story. You feeling that?
I definitely, and just reading a lot, listening a lot. I have to say this past week, I don't know, it's just been tough. There seems to be just so much confusing information that I have made a conscious effort. I'm not listening or watching anything that is not being brought forward by physicians that are actually treating COVID patients, doing research, and so I can get what I feel is real, tangible information to work with, because it's just it really is absurd and overwhelming at this point. We're at the end of May, coming up on Memorial Day, and our country has changed so much. I don't think for the better, because this is like it's a joke. It's not a joke because people are dying, but the way that we are being manipulated by the press, by the mainstream media, that's what I'm talking about. So if I'm a little
edgy,
I don't know, on edge, shorter, I blew up at my husband, who is he called me this morning. I'm on the walk with the dogs. I'm in nature and everything. Is how I start my day, and the phone rings. So
poor Steve.
Yeah, sorry, honey. It's so it's taking a toll, and I would say that our audience, we have a super awesome, super supportive, and very bright audience. I mean, they're not they're not sheep. And I'm out if I got to go to the grocery store or do whatever. And I was at Walmart the other day. Yes, I'm saying your name. and I was checking out, and there was a mom and her daughter, grown daughter, across in the self-checkout aisle from me. And a Walmart employee comes up and says, "Oh, ma'am, sorry, you can only, there's a limit on the toilet paper." We're still
Again, really?
We're still at this, okay? The Walmart in Rowlett on Route 66. You better believe I'm naming it. And the woman turns and was like, "Come on, I'm a nurse. This is my first day off in forever. I just need to get my groceries." Walmart employee obviously has her marching orders.
Now, she's a nurse.
She's a nurse. She says
who's probably been working 12-hour shifts.
12-hour shifts for however many days in a row. Okay.
No days off.
So I hear this and I said, "I'll take your toilet paper." So she gives me the toilet paper, and her mom is like, "Why is she want your toilet paper?" I scan the toilet paper. I give it back to her. I pay for the toilet paper. She's like, "Oh, you so don't have to do that." And I said, "Yes, I do." You are out there taking care of us in the community, and the last thing that you need is a hassle from the grocery store telling you can't buy damn toilet paper.
That would have blown me.
So,
I would have blown up.
Come on.
That would have put me over the edge, and now I see why you're agitated, because how but this goes to the point where there's such a misdirection of information.
Yeah,
being
it's still
done.
this fear mongering.
And even the employees at Walmart don't know. Okay, they're told, but they should be able to use discretion. They don't know. They're told by their
that
bosses.
might be a little bit dangerous.
But they're told by their bosses, you can't sell this amount of toilet paper to somebody. Here's a first responder going to buy toilet paper, like you said, 12-hour days. She probably hasn't had a day off in weeks, and she's out with her mom. She needs to get groceries, and you're going to limit this lady on what she can buy?
Yeah, it's crazy. And I still get the questions, because of my line of work. Hey, if this is your first time joining us on Mad Radio, I'm Sam, and I'm a former United States Secret Service agent. That sounded like the beginning of an AA meeting.
Yeah. Hi,
just
Sam.
saying, yeah, hi. And so I still get questions all the time from legitimately interested folks. It's like, how did you do what you did with these politicians? And I tell them straight out, I have a job to do.
Right.
Trained to do the job. Now that I've been separated from service for a long time, wrote a book, I can speak a little bit more freely. Certain things still can't talk about. And I can say that, they're going, surveys go out for a reason. Polls go out for a reason. You're going to hear what you want, the politician that you back. They're going to tell you what you want to hear.
Of course.
Every single time.
Right.
It's
a verbal
not a coincidence.
Algorithm or whatever
exactly.
Yeah.
Algorithm.
Algorithm.
But let me tell you, they're going to turn around, they're going to walk off that stage, and they're going to do whatever the bleep they want. Whatever the frick, as my son would say, frick. Whatever the frick they want. And that is, so all politicians pander to us. It's a game.
But it's a costly game.
It will always be a costly game. If you look at the history of our, I was on a webinar this morning. The history of, we'll say, from 1900, somebody that was born in 1900.
Right.
It was all about struggle and trying to be resilient, because what did they have? They had a pandemic. They had World War. I'm gonna get my dates wrong. They had depression, World War I, depression.
Right.
Then World War II. Then, or maybe that was reversed. But
no, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Then Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Then Vietnam.
Yep.
Okay. Raised in adversity.
Right.
Okay.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Shut down.
am like, do we know what our Constitution says? Okay, I swore an oath. I read the freaking thing. They don't teach this in school anymore. It's all a game to get us to exactly where we are right now. How much they can take.
Right.
And I don't care whether you're red or blue.
Right. No, it
What
doesn't
side
matter.
of what side of the pond you're on? It line pond whatever. You know, it is a gigantic experiment, and we are the pawns. Those of us who choose to be sheep, don't be a sheep. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, get off the mainstream media. Stop listening to what they are purposely planting in your head. They want you to be scared because it's the only way that these mayors, that these politicians across the United States can encroach on our constitutional rights. And I worked for the government, okay? So this is something that I talk about, a complete mind screw, okay? It is something that I deal with and I take very seriously every single day, that I am confronted with. Is like, I towed the party line at some point because I had a job to. I am evil.
No, you're very.
No, I'm enlightened.
You're pumped.
I'm frustrated. I'm aggravated. I'm pissed off.
And it's all okay.
Now we got this tracking software that's coming out. These apps, people. If you're friends with me on my Facebook page, I love you to death. But if you're thinking about downloading anything that the mainstream media is talking about, apps, one is called Safer Together, please remove me from your contact list and your Facebook as your Facebook friends, because it's an automatic download and it's a tracking software. Please do not be fooled by these companies touting their applications and their technology saying, oh, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, Apple and Google came out. There's a May 4th article. Oh, we're not going to do that. Really? Then why the hell can I go on the Google Play app and download the damn app, Google?
Right. Because they're lying to you.
Thank you. Don't be sheep. Don't be lemmings. Your life is worth more. What are we talking about today?
I've never seen you this.
Oh my gosh.
Passionate,
it
but
is, yeah.
you know, now, see your frustration that you're having right now, and you're not working, you're not on a job right now, you know.
Always
so,
working, yeah.
So let's take that frustration that you're having, just from a trip to Walmart, just from what you're hearing on the news, and just from things that you're seeing on Facebook, and things that you're being told to by the government, right? Now put yourself in that nurse's shoes. Put yourself in that police officer's shoes. Put yourself in that firefighter's, EMS, shoes, where now they're getting misled by so much misinformation and being told to do things that really they don't, in their hearts of hearts, know that it's wrong to do, but they have to do it due to administrators, or they'll be hit with insubordination charges. I just saw a New Jersey gym owner got locked up for opening up his gym. Those.
Is that the one that posted the Constitution in the window, or no? That's a different state, I think.
But they just locked them up, and you could see the cops did not want to do it. They didn't want to lock them up. They rather just gave him a citation or told him, hey man, you just got to close your store. But they were ordered to do what they had to do. And you know what? They have to. So our law enforcement's being put between a rock and a hard place, right? On nurses, can't buy toilet paper in Walmart after working 12-hour shifts for how many days and wearing a mask on their face, and they just want to get home and relax. Our EMS workers are working 12-hour shifts doing double the call volume, being told not to perform CPR on COVID patients, right? And now we got firefighters that are still doing their jobs, fighting fires and still fighting against COVID. And, God bless those the 10 firefighters that were severely injured in California and the one police officer.
Yeah, and the
So
fire.
You saw the video of that, the heroic efforts. They bailed out of that warehouse, that smoke shop warehouse, which was probably arson. Because of COVID, they probably couldn't make their rent. That's all speculation. Please.
Yeah, don't
That's
take
all
it fact.
speculation.
Yeah.
But that these 10 firefighters got hurt. Think about our first responders out there, the mental health and the anxiety that they got to put up with each and every single day of their shift, just to try to go out there and do a job that they love to do,
Yeah.
And now what's going to happen? What are we talking about here? And the departments, our bigger departments may be helping a little bit, but you know what? Not all. 95% of the departments out there are not looking at the mental health of our first responders to the point that during this whole COVID process, are we taking care of our people?
Well, there's it from staying in touch, and you and I do a lot behind the scenes. Is that it's the ultimate act of betrayal. You go to work, you show up every day, you do the best job to your ability, and all of a sudden you don't have the PPE you need, and things about your job
or the wrong PPE,
or the wrong PPE, and that goes to your leadership, and so you go to work thinking your leaders have your back, and when you have this betrayal, it's pervasive, and it's not just in the firefighting service,
right.
Police work. It's everywhere.
But let me go above you on the leadership, because. You could talk about the regular beat cop, right? Patrol cop. Then you're talking about your sergeants and your lieutenants and your captains, right? They're not making the rules, right? Then you got the chiefs. They're not making the rules. Then you got the commissioner. He's not making the rules. It goes back and it falls back on our politicians.
Right. Oh, you said that P word again.
That P word. It falls back on our politicians
Yeah.
who are making up the rules as they go along.
Right. And then the politicians are blaming who? It's all
shit
whose
rolls
fault?
downhill.
It's all whose fault?
Right.
The White House.
Right.
It's all, well, they're telling us to.
So it's
sheep.
They're gonna blame the White House,
right?
But when stuff goes bad, they're gonna blame the sergeants, lieutenants, and all the cops. Going, hey, we had nothing to do with that. They took that upon their own prerogative. We're making up rules, and I brought this up on the 99% radio the other day about Walmart.
Based on false facts.
False facts. But here's a rule that really got me, because today I went shopping in Albertsons. Okay, whose brainstorm idea was this to put one-way stickers on aisles? Who thought of that?
I don't know, because
we can only walk one way down an aisle.
I'm laughing because I'm the person that is like, oh, am I going the wrong way? Because I don't know. When I shop, I'm looking up at where I need to go, not down at the floor.
I walked the wrong way on purpose because I want to see a grocery store cop give me a summons for walking the wrong way.
John is not a sheep.
And if I pass something that I need and I want to go back to my Cheerios, do I have to go 2 aisles over because the other aisle next to me is a different direction?
Right. It's like New York.
It's like driving in Manhattan.
New York, right? That's what I was thinking the first. I was like, wow, did I land back in New York?
Man.
It's like I got to square the block. I got to go to this way. And,
So, we've been talking all week, and I've been thinking about this. And I spoke with, Doug. We had a great conversation with Doug Mondo over in Florida of Survive First. And, we're all retired, and we're off the job right now. And I tell you, my blood's bubbling. I get frustrated just going out. I cannot imagine working a 12-hour shift, being frustrated from the job, and then just trying to lead a normal life after work, trying to get back into family, trying to just shop for food. If this is frustrating me, you, and God knows how many of the retired officers, how can the regular first responder out there now doing his job, how is he processing all this in his brain?
Well, I think because we've been going on for so long, and depending on the city and the way that it's been affected, being busy and doing the job, it's kind of it's a double-edged sword, because on one side, your brain is like on fire, adrenaline up, I'm doing my job, and the only way you can keep going is to keep doing your job, okay? And then
Right.
on the other side is if you keep doing that and that's all you focus on, we've got that burnout. Somewhere in the middle, you have to make a decision to create a happy medium. This is where the resources are absolutely necessary, because once you stay in that overload capacity for too long, your body, if it crashes because you're out of adrenaline, and it's only a matter of time. We know this because you've been through it, I've been through it, everybody that we work with now has been through it. Science says this would happen.
Right.
This is what happens. And so in order to build that bridge, that gap, fill that gap, is you need to be armed with the resources to be able to do that. And that, that's what you and I do behind the scenes. And so, I'm reading more and more that there are volunteer trauma specialists coming forward. Still not enough not nearly enough to handle what we're looking at. And I'll use New York City for an example. Reading an incredible, it was a long article, incredibly eye-opening. But I went to the resource that they actually quoted. Okay, we're talking about New York City.
New York City.
Okay,
the home of, I think there are 38,000 cops. 2
resources from the network that they quote. Texas, 1 person.
1 person.
So while, this goes back to the conversation we had about smoke and mirrors and making it look like we're ahead of things. If you are dealing with Manhattan, I would hope to God you'd have a network of more than 2 practitioners. In this particular article of the network that they quoted, that practitioners are joining, we're here for help. Really? 2? Really? And God only knows how Texas, you have 1, how that's going to work. So
for the whole state of Texas?
Yes, so please stop putting these things out here when you really don't have the resources to handle what is occurring right now and coming. Because if you're not ahead of the storm, you're behind.
Yes.
And once you're behind, we're at 61 suicides since January in our law enforcement community.
That's
okay?
not including
That's just police
law
officers,
yeah.
right? That's just law enforcement. That's not counting firefighters, EMS. So,
I looked on the Line of Duty website
crazy.
the other day. So we have 61 suicides from law enforcement, right? We have 84 line of duty deaths, right, throughout the country, right?
Throughout the country.
We have 84. We have 84 line of duty deaths. 18 of them are due to COVID. 2 of them are due to 9/11 illness.
Right.
And I think it was only 12 were gunshot wounds. There were
violent crimes against the police.
The other one was car accidents or medical heart attack on the job. All right. But for violent acts of crime, there's only been about 13 that caused line of duty injuries in our law enforcement. But we've 61 deaths. There's a big problem there when our law enforcement is taking their own lives more than the perpetrators out on the street are. Right?
Well, yeah, unless you'd like to come to the wild, wild west of Texas where, kudos and shout out to DPD. Hang in there, guys. I cannot even imagine what you're going through right now. Our hearts go out to you. And, you got the chief on your side that came out yesterday, intolerant, rightfully so, of neighborhood.
Chief Hall?
The DPD chief, because the police officers were being shot at. They were shot at 12 times. Different incidences 2 days ago.
Wow.
Folks, come on.
Under all this pressure and everything else.
Right. We are at war with this pandemic and trying to figure out what the heck, our lives are going to look like. The last thing we need to be doing out there is shooting at our police officers who are going above and beyond to respond to calls, not knowing what they're going to show up to.
Right.
And
New York City has that same thing. They
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
released it in the Daily News that violent crime, shootings, robberies, and there's some other crime statistic in there that are almost tripled from this time last year during this
Well,
pandemic.
it's a boiling point. People are confused. They're fed up. They're frustrated. The police are in a terrible position.
Yes.
I mean, if I see one more video of the police taking that woman down when she's holding the hand of her child.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, ho, ho.
I missed that.
Oh, you missed that. So in New York, you're supposed to wear a mask.
Right.
Okay.
Ordered to.
So, right. Okay. So she has a mask on. It's like down around her neck. She's in the subway system. And she's holding the hand of her small child. And the police come up and they're talking to her. And you can't really make out the words. You know, somebody's
Right.
filming this whole thing. And long story short, words are exchanged. The child is ripped from her hands. She's thrown on the ground. I mean, come on. Law enforcement officers already have a hard enough job.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you could see the frustration point.
To have this, I mean, okay. You've got to be reasonable. I mean, if I'm with my son and my son's taller than I am, okay, I used to wear the badge. Get the fuck off me.
Right.
Seriously.
I get it. I get it. But that,
yeah.
but that just shows what we're pushing our law enforcement to the point of.
Yeah, right, because they don't have a choice. But you know what?
It's the stress level.
There has to be discretion. And I understand you are sworn to uphold, protect, etc. You know, serve, by the way, it's not just serve your master,
Right.
it's serve the community. I don't know. Whenever I was always taught this, when you receive an order that violates any sort of public policy that can put somebody in jeopardy, that can cause more harm than good,
Right.
you've got to have discretion, and it's okay to not do that. I mean,
Wait.
who would have made light of this situation?
Right, but
if they just said, "Ma'am, could you just put the mask on?"
But
And she
let me-
told him to fuck off. Then
you know
whatever.
what? Let me ask some. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
Discretion. Okay. But how many calls prior did this poor cop go to?
No, it was like 5.
Right.
By the way.
Well, whatever it was,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah.
Okay. Look, I'm just airing on. I'm just playing devil's advocate right now, because maybe this was the 8th or 9th call where he was told to tell somebody to go put their friggin' mask on.
18,000th call.
Right, or 18,000 call. And and she just said, "You know what? Screw you. I'm not doing it." He's got to be like, I'm done. I'm getting yelled at every day because
Right.
no one's complying. I'm getting screamed at. I'm getting spit at. And I could see, I know me. I'm getting frustrated for the cops right now because of what they're being put into.
Right. So what do we respond? We respond with emotion.
Right,
Instead
right.
of that calm head that we are trained
Right.
to have, because stress, if it's not handled, comes to a boiling point. Boop! It's like a pipe. It's gonna burst.
Right.
So that's why I say where we need to fill that gap so that we're not seeing this over and over and over again. And I apologize. I don't know if people are commenting because I still can't
no.
connect. I still can't connect on my Facebook. I don't know.
We got Judy Lamb saying hello, and
Tech
Vonda
is
over here saying hello.
still being a pain here. Yeah, the gap needs to be filled, and whether it's there are peer support teams out there. And I'm telling people, if you are one department and you feel like you have nothing, reach out to another department. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
we are your brothers and sisters.
But here's
And
the thing.
talk to somebody.
Right. But
And I'm saying peer support
Yep.
because if you're in that situation, most of the time it's not going to be.
this gets back to, and you hit that button again. This is This is where it gets back to. This has to be, a national thing across the board, because what one department follows, the next department's not following.
I think you have to, at this point, from everything that I'm reading and seeing out there, you have to be your own advocate.
You do, but
it's tough.
It is, and you know what? And I'm not gonna say, but people right now, and I'm not gonna say what's bringing this up right now, but people are scared to talk about the mental health issues of our first responders. They're scared to speak publicly about their health issues, or they're being stipend because you know what? No,
Stifled?
Stifled.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not receiving a stipend.
Stifled.
They're being
because,
stifled, yeah.
You know what? If they're not feeling comfortable with their mental health programs, right? So they don't want to talk about them. So they want to try to push them off under the rug because they know those mental health programs are inadequate for the officers. Just like you said, 2 people from Manhattan out of 38,000 police officers in New York, you're going to put 2 people in Manhattan? You should have 500 therapists knocking down those doors to help out those first responders.
I agree.
Plus you got 14 or 15,000 firefighters. You got 4,000 EMS workers. So you're looking at over 50,000 first responders in New York alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everybody is seeing, law enforcement has what they're seeing, and as an EMS person, I cannot imagine being in a position of just carrying bodies out of buildings and not being able to show them the respect that that the person deserves, and plus not being able to actually save a life like you were trained to do.
Imagine being told on your job. Imagine being told, Sam, you go to a cardiac arrest, maybe a COVID patient, you can't perform CPR.
Yeah, that's foreign to me. It's foreign to every bone in my body.
What does that do to the paramedic or the EMT going, I want to help?
Yeah, that's where this put it in the technical post-traumatic stress terms is where this betrayal, where our men and women feel betrayed by their own departments. And like you said, the leadership goes all the way to the top.
Right. Okay.
And so without, they're making, my opinion, remember, this show, it's opinion. It's not don't take a hard, fast rule, but it's based on bad facts. I would love to see, jurisdictions reaching out to their local, the physicians that are actually seeing the patients.
Oh, you mean
in
their person?
Right, in their own jurisdiction. Yeah, hands-on.
Yeah, hands-on.
Hey,
I
have treated X number of COVID patients.
Right.
There are plenty of doctors out there whose testimonies are all over the YouTube and stuff who have successfully treated COVID patients. None of them have died.
Right.
Okay? We should be curious as a society, their protocols that they treated the patients with, why all of a sudden you can't get it? The H.
The
hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. The hydroxychloroquine.
It disappeared from the market. If you're a doctor,
really?
you can't. It's
you
very
can't get your
difficult.
hands on it?
Nope.
Because it works.
Because it works.
Because it works.
Yep. Exactly. So anything that is working is harder and harder to get. Okay, folks, all
paper.
I'm asking you is to connect the dots here, to look at the bigger picture of what this really is. And you have to be the judge for yourself and your own family. This is not the John and Sam telling you what to do. This is just hopefully, educating you and putting a different spin so that there's more understanding, so that the next time you see a member of fire rescue or a nurse or whatever, maybe buy their toilet paper, or their food or whatever. I'm just saying that we need to bring humankind back to being human. We have lost this because we are being told, stay in your house. It's too scary to come out because this virus thing might get ya. And I'm not making light of those who have died. I'm saying if you take the time to connect the dots, there are not a lot more people that didn't need to die that have died.
Yeah. When we look at something, and once again, we got a 99.1% success rate, survival rate on COVID. And, yes, it's a shame people are dying, but I think the rules that are being put in place are a little stringent. I think we're making them up as we go along. I think it's like one of those poke and hope types of things. If you never washed your hands before, yes, you should be washing your hands. Yes.
That's a given.
Basic
I
friggin'
was
hygiene.
raised to wash my hands.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
All right? If someone's sick,
Thanks, Mom, for that.
Don't cough on somebody. These are just basic hygiene rules. Don't cough on somebody. You don't touch stupid things, man. Wash your hands after you touch stuff. Just be aware of not touching your face. But to restrict businesses, to stop the flow of our economy, to put the pressure on our first responders, we're going to have some devastating effects
in
coming down the pike.
Yeah.
And, it scares the hell out of me knowing that, it all could have been prevented. It definitely could all be been prevented. I mean, look at New York.
Well, I don't know if the virus.
No, not the virus. But I'm saying,
right.
I'm saying
how
we're responding to this.
Well, I think we reacted. We didn't respond.
I think we overreacted. After the fact.
Yeah.
After the fact.
Yeah.
We overreacted.
And I'm looking at Vonda, her comment. Hey, Vonda, that she says, my grandson was born during this pandemic. I have not had the opportunity to hold him yet. Okay.
Jesus.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, is that the lack of humanity.
Right.
And really,
people can't get treated in the hospitals for underlying conditions. My neighbor has kidney stones for the last month and a half, and they were like, no, that's considered elective surgery. My brother-in-law in New York had a torn rotacuff.
This is not in Texas.
No, this is in Texas.
Okay.
He just finally got some treatment, but
Okay.
he's had a stint in for over a month.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what jurisdiction you're in,
Right.
because we
My
have
brother-in-law
folks
had
that are back.
rotocuff surgery done. He had to wait almost 6 weeks. He had to sit in a sling because they weren't doing elective surgeries. So we're not treating the people that needed to be treated. And that doctor over in Dallas that turned around and did her thing over at on the lawn.
Oh yes, she did.
She did, and she was spot
Love
on
it.
saying that doctors took an oath to. I'll give you my own personal thing. My doctor wouldn't refill a life-saving prescription for me that I ran out of. He refused to fill my prescription until I saw him. And I said, well, when can I come in? He goes, our office is closed. He goes, we have to do a teledoc.
Yeah,
I said, well, listen, when can we do that? He goes, Monday. And that's 4 days away. So I said, well, just refill the prescription and I'll do the No, I'm not refilling it until we get to speak on camera. What are you doing for me on camera? We're talking. Talk to me on the phone. How do you feel? How do you, blah. What's the difference? The teledoc thing does not work. You're not taking my temperature. You're not diagnosing me.
Right.
And these doctors now are sitting at home. That doctor who went to Dallas and stood up and said, hey, we should be in our offices. We're telling people to go quarantine for 14 days. And in those 14 days, they're getting sicker and sicker and sicker and not being treated. So the virus is getting worse.
Yeah, and she was seeing not COVID and non-COVID.
Right.
Patients,
And she said out of the 28 COVID patients that she's seen, she treated immediately,
and
they were fine. But we're sending people home from the hospital that go, for 14 days and treat them with over-the-counter medication. Of course they're going to get sicker over 14 days with no antibiotics.
Well, the whole antibiotic thing, if it's viral, antibiotics.
Well, if you're not going to get treated.
Viral, but yeah, I mean, to really put this in perspective, so you've got the frustration of our frontline healthcare workers, and we covered on one of the shows the suicide of one of the head ER docs in New York. Same week as, I think it was the same week or a week apart from the 23-year-old EMS worker.
And we just had a veteran. We just had a veteran on May 1st commit suicide. He was battling PTSD.
Yeah.
And the isolation of this COVID
Right.
kept him within his own mind, and he took his own life.
Yeah. So we nowhere did it ever say that we had to lose ourselves in this, okay? But the fact of the matter is some people are having really huge difficulties with it. And do you mind if I read something from it?
Go.
So this article, I'm not going to say where it came from. Or actually, I will, and it's your choice of whether you want to read the whole thing. It's a New York Times article, May 16th. The coronavirus patient, a 75-year-old man, was dying. No family member was allowed in the room with him, only a young nurse. In full protective gear, she dimmed the lights and put on quiet music. She freshened his pillows, dabbed his lips with moistened swabs, held his hand, spoke softly to him. He wasn't even her patient, but everyone else was slammed. Finally, she held an iPad close to him so he could see the face and hear the voice of a grief-stricken relative Skyping from the hospital corridor. After the man died, the nurse found a secluded hallway and wept. Folks, that's about as real as it gets.
That's one of probably hundreds of stories.
Yeah. And she was brave enough to come forward and share.
I've heard stories like that, people dying in hospitals, away from their families, not being surrounded by loved ones because you're not letting them in the hospital.
If the masks work
Right.
the way we're being told, keywords, that they work,
Right.
why in the heavens are we denying
Family members.
the people that are dying the ability to say goodbye? I mean, it's disgraceful.
It is, and like you said, it's inhumane. It's inhumane that you see people at hospital windows. I mean, like they're in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Their family members are
outside,
tapping on the friggin' glass.
Holding up, signs.
How crazy is that?
We have reached a point, like I said, it's May 20th. We have reached a point where we are so far over the edge, and I just please start connecting the dots. Start connecting the dots and make an informed decision for yourself. And I'm not, we're the last people that would ever advocate you violating, whatever your local jurisdiction,
CDC,
whatever it is. But you got to have people that are going to stand up and challenge this. Again, these are your constitutional rights. A right to assembly. It's in the Constitution.
Right. Martial law
are
has
we
not
going
been
to allow it to be eroded? And this show is not a political show, but I want everybody, John, you and I want everybody to see how they're using this and how it is affecting our minds. And you pile all of this on top of a first responder's
Right.
brain that is being subjected to stress levels
way beyond
comparable
to anything else.
Okay? At least after 9/11, I knew who the enemy was.
Right.
Okay? I had all their photos. Okay, they were dead, but the ones living. At least I could identify that.
Right.
This is invisible. It breaks my heart. There's a story about a doctor, I think in New York, it could be wrong, could be California, who is living with the guilt that he may have killed his own parents. And he's a doctor and works in the ER, one of the major hospital systems. His parents lived at home with him and his family, his wife and
Right.
kids, and they both died of the virus. And he is every day, he says, the only thing that keeps me going is working. I pray for this person, this doctor, every single day. He has been on my mind because if somebody doesn't step forward to help him, I don't want to read his obituary. I don't want to
Right.
have a follow-up story on him. Can you imagine the guilt? And he's terrified.
I can't imagine being on the front lines right now and dealing with all that, plus this, plus the news report. I don't know. I mean, we are getting, like I said, we're getting frustrated. I'm scared to see what's going to happen. I'm scared for the next few months. I really am. Because if nothing is being done now for the mental health of these guys, a few months down the line, there's going to be no turning back. There's going to be, it's going to, and what's going to happen then? We've had, and it's not just us. We spoke with Doug from, Survive First, and
Right
he
in
has
Florida.
he has that same fear in him that if we do not put something in place, if the departments are afraid to talk about their
Something
programs,
real.
huh?
Something real.
Something
real.
right.
Right. Don't make it. Oh, we have a network of
no
resources.
no smoke and mirrors.
And we have 2 docs.
Right.
To serve the entire city of Manhattan.
Right. We're better than that. We can provide the. Man.
I know. Hey, it goes back to the police officer, the New York City detective who had his. That's what first thing that flashed in my mind. Who had his gun and his gun taken away, not his badge.
His no, he got his badge taken away.
He
His
did?
gun and badge.
Okay.
Yep. His gun and badge.
And then they sent him home.
Yeah.
No, not with somebody. They sent him home and said, "Oh, so after he killed himself, woo, was that a big surprise?" Oh, well, we're working with, an organization, or we're aligned with this and this to not have this happen anymore.
Do they understand?
Okay, I just read you an article from New York Times. The network that's named in that article has 2 doctors for Manhattan. Come on, it's still happening. Oh, well, we're working with DOD. Oh, shit. That's the last one. Have you ever heard of the VA?
What you just said just sparked something in
Connect
my head.
Connect the dots, please.
You just sparked something in my head, saying that, when with that officer in New York, they took away his gun, they took away his shield. They knew that there was something wrong. They knew he was having a mental health issue, but they still sent him home. We are doing that every single day to every first responder across the nation. We are telling them to bust their ass, get stressed out, and go home. We're not debriefing them. We're not checking on them. We're sending them home to live in their own mind in isolation, and we're not taking care of them. Every single day we're doing this. Every single day.
Yeah, I'm going to say that, it's 1849 hours in if you're listening, if you are a first responder, family member, first responder, we've got to really say now that you've got to take it upon yourself to learn resilience, to get some training. And I don't mean you have to take time away from work. There are resources out there on the web that you can use, that you can tap into, because not only do you deserve it, and we talked about the importance of self-care.
Yeah.
You deserve it, and your family deserves it. And, I'm just going to, can I use this last 2 minutes?
Yeah. Yep.
I was listening to a podcast today, and it was about the death of a posthumously awarded Medal of Honor.
Oh, the 41-year-old.
His name's Jason Dunham. No, not Ron, who was a Secret Service agent. So Jason decorated. He was a decorated Marine, and he gave his life to save his guys. There was a hand-to-hand combat, literally, with an insurgent who tossed a grenade, and Jason took off his helmet, put his helmet on top of the grenade, and it detonated. Ultimately, Jason lost his battle. He lived for 8 days. And so I was listening to the podcast with his guys who were there.
Right.
And one of them said something that it's going to stay with me for a while, that because of Jason, he has the blessing of being alive. And on the flip side, he also feels in a way that it's a curse.
Survivor's guilt.
Okay. That hit me so hard. I want everybody that's listening to understand this is what our first responders are living with. Those that have been through things like 9/11, those that cannot unsee all the horrors that they've seen. John, you're everything that you saw. We can't unsee that. And when it gets quiet, when we're off duty, when the pandemic ends, slows down, and we sit there in silence and we think about everything that we have been through, please don't say you can't think about it, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's why I said in the beginning of the show, it's a double-edged sword. The only thing you can do is work, but eventually you crash. And when you have that thought that life is a blessing and also a burden, I think he said a burden, we need to listen.
We do. We do. And we are here to listen.
We are here.
We are here to
listen.
You can reach out to me and Sam on any one of our social media pages. Or if you have our numbers, you can text us. You can call the show. They can get in touch with us. Anytime, day in, day out, we are here to help heal our heroes.
We want your life to be a blessing, always.
24/7.
Yes. So thank you to all of our first responders, everybody on the front line, healthcare, everybody. I mean everybody, including spouses that support. You're not alone.
Nope. Wow. You good?
Good.
All right. Well, until next week, man, this is John and Sam on Making a Difference Mad Radio. Want to send out our prayers, our thoughts, our love, our blessings to every first responder out there on our front lines today, and who are keeping us safe. And listen, until next week, stay blessed. Vinny Vegas show is coming up here right after us, so please stay tuned. And until next week, we are out.